Chapter 81. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Year 1, you start practicing yin-yang absolute immortal hand, due to the lack of experience in practicing fist and palm skills, and the fact that Xiantian martial arts is too obscure and difficult to understand. In your opinion, this martial arts secret book is like a heavenly book, and you can't find the key to getting started. Alas, this step is too big, it's really easy to get into trouble. Gu Cheng sighed helplessly. If this is a Xiantian sword technique, he can easily get started with thousands of years of sword training experience, but for fist and palm skills, he had only learned the most superficial rough bull fist before. Jumping to Xiantian martial arts in one go is like asking a kindergarten kid to learn calculus directly after graduation. It's simply too much to ask, but as the saying goes, great strength makes miracles happen. With Gu Cheng's huge amount of life infusion, the records on the panel finally changed. Year 168, after countless attempts, you accidentally touched the threshold of this skill, as if opening the door to a new world. Yin-yang absolute immortal hand breaks through the entry realm. Year 178. With the understanding of fist and palm skills gained from refining the red blood wolf demon core, your practice speed has greatly improved. You reach out and gently stroke the saber, tapping the weak part of the blade, and the 100 refined steel saber breaks into 4 pieces. Yin-yang absolute immortal hand breaks through the minor success realm. Year 193. You have practiced hard for many years, but you have never made any progress. You begin to face the reality. This innate martial art is too profound for you. In the absence of external assistance, it is difficult for you to continue practicing by just mindlessly spending your life. Lack of external assistance. Gu Cheng touched his chin, thinking of the auxiliary effect of the wolf demon king core before. He immediately took out the water monkey demon core given by Aunt Sun Yanxue and stuffed it into his mouth. The egg-sized Xiantian realm demon core could no longer be swallowed raw. Gu Cheng could only endure the fishy smell in his mouth, chewing and swallowing hard. To be honest, if it wasn't for the purpose of gaining life and becoming stronger, he would rather learn from Sun Baichuan to chew on a teapot than eat this shitty thing. Year 194, you began to refine the demon core of the Jade Water Demon Ape. The demonic evil spirit left in the Xiantian realm demon core is far beyond the comparison of the demon core of the broken ordinary realm. You walked on thin ice, trying to win in a safe way. Year 217, you have tried to slow down the refining speed as much as possible, but under the continuous erosion of this demonic evil spirit, your spirit finally collapsed and you were completely immersed in the illusion woven by the demon. You seem to have turned into a water monkey, swimming freely in a turbulent river. Chapter 263, you eat fish, shrimps and crabs raw in the river, feeling so comfortable and carefree. Chapter 298, you sneak into the nearby small fishing village, peek at the young widow bathing by the river, and quietly take away her clothes. Chapter 325, while playing in the river, you found a man who looked like a Tibetan fox falling into the water, and you were kind enough to rescue him to the shore. What a mess! How can a water monkey like you only know how to do this? Gu Cheng held his forehead with one hand, his face dark. He now realized that as long as he refined the demon core beyond the level, there would be almost 100% problems. No wonder there is basically no one in the world who directly swallows the demon core raw. It is pure and suicidal. I'm afraid only he, who can spend his life to cultivate, dares to play like this. Year 413, after a long time of baptism, you finally got tired of eating fish, shrimps and crabs in the river, and realized that you are not a water monkey at all. You successfully woke up from the illusion, and the strength of your mind was significantly improved. Year 455, you completely refined and analyzed the demon core of the green water demon ape. After absorbing the remaining power of the demon core, you were deeply inspired and had many unique understandings of fist and palm kung fu. At the same time, because your mind was strong enough, you successfully comprehended the green water demon ape's innate magical power, water control. Innate water control, you can breathe freely in the water and greatly enhance all martial arts and spells related to water. Oh! There is such an operation. Gu Cheng's eyes lit up immediately. After completely refining and analyzing the demon core of the innate realm, you can actually directly comprehend the innate magical power of the demon. This is another way to become stronger with a very high upper limit. Just imagine, If this is 100 or 80 innate demon cores are eaten one after another, then he can grow to a shocking level just by relying on the passive bonus brought by the demonic magic. Reading this, Gu Cheng suddenly felt that the water monkey demon core, it doesn't seem so bad. At the same time, the Kryptonian practice on the panel is still going on, year 468, with the help of the demon core of the green water demon ape. The innate martial arts that was originally like a heavenly book suddenly became much simpler. You put the insights you gained from the demon core into practice, and suddenly you are enlightened, and your practice speed is advancing by leaps and bounds. Year 478, you hold your breath and concentrate, flick your fingers lightly, and the hard granite instantly collapses into a pile of debris. Yin Yang absolute immortal hand breaks through to the mastery realm. Year 543, you continue to practice hard and finally practice the hand of Yin to the extreme. From now on, no matter how solid the defense is, it is no different from a chicken and a dog in your hands. Yin Yang absolute immortal hand breaks through to the great accomplishment realm. The second half of the hand of Yang has extremely high requirements for true Qi. You have not yet condensed the sea of Qi, so you can only stop here. Remaining lifespan, 2035 years. Gu Cheng slowly opened his eyes, raised his hands, and looked carefully. His palms were cold and white, his 5 fingers were slender, and his joints were distinct, which looked quite pleasing to the eye. He didn't look like a warrior who had practiced hard for many years, but more like a rich young man who had never worked hard. But at this moment, Gu Cheng suddenly had an illusion. With just his 2 palms, even if there was an immortal standing in front of him, he had the confidence to punch the opponent's heart through with one blow. Is it so outrageous? Gu Cheng was puzzled and decided to do a simple test. He took out the bronze mirror magic weapon, used his divine mind to drive it, and generated a white light shield in front of him. After the baptism of the water monkey illusion, Gu Cheng's divine mind strength has been greatly improved. Therefore, the defensive power of this light shield is also much stronger than before. Gu Cheng held his breath and concentrated, silently observing the white light shield in front of him, looking for its weakness. After a few breaths, his eyes suddenly flashed with brilliance, and his right hand was in the shape of a sword finger, like a hunting venomous snake, and suddenly stabbed forward, as fast as lightning, as powerful as thunder. Crack! There were no gorgeous special effects, nor any earth-shattering movements. But it was such a simple sword finger, but it pierced through the light shield with one blow. The white light shield was severely damaged, and immediately turned into light particles and disappeared out of thin air. Hiss! Is this the power of Xiantian realm martial arts? Gu Cheng's pupils shrank suddenly, and he was surprised and happy in his heart. In fact, in terms of the destructive power of the moves alone, this yin-yang absolute immortal hand at the great perfection realm may not be much stronger than the blood shadow sword art at the extreme, not to mention Gu Cheng's ultimate move blood scale fury. But the characteristic of this weak point attack is too overbearing. It is almost equivalent to real damage. Used against thick-skinned enemies, it can achieve amazing results far beyond its power. And more importantly, this yin-yang absolute immortal hand is also a simple and unpretentious righteous martial arts. Even if he arrives in Tianshui City, he can use it in public without worrying about being suspected by his colleagues. With this magical skill, Gu Cheng felt relieved. Now he is ready for everything, just waiting to go to Tianshui City with General Su in 3 days. Chapter 82. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 3 days later, it was the day of departure. The morning light was slightly revealed, and the white mist was thick. Gu Cheng was dressed neatly and put the precious sword Mou on his waist. He locked the gate of the Gu family courtyard, stopped in front of the door for a moment, and then left without looking back. He was alone, so he could leave in a chic manner. He threw all his luggage into the storage bag, which was even easier and neater. He walked all the way to the outside of the county town. On the spacious official road, 5 carriages of the Demon Suppression Division were lined up. Various mysterious patterns were carved on the ebony body, which seemed to be some kind of unique magic circle. The flag was hung high at the front of the car, with a black background and gold edges, and a ferocious beast was painted on it. It moved with the wind in the late autumn morning breeze, which was very impressive. The horses used to pull the carriage were even more extraordinary. Not only is its body twice as big as an ordinary tall horse, but it also has a single horn on its head and scales on its back. Its mouth is wide open, full of sharp teeth, and its eyes are blood-red like those of a demon. However, the eyes of this strange horse are not fierce, but clear and stupid like those of a college student. When it saw Gu Cheng, a stranger, approaching, it tilted its neck with curiosity, giving off a sense of déjà vu of a silly roe deer. This is a Jiao horse, a specialty of our Tianshui County. A black-shirt lieutenant came over, gently patted the neck of the strange horse, and introduced it to Gu Cheng. It is a half-demon with Jiaolong blood. Not only is its speed and endurance far superior to ordinary horses, it can also walk on the waves and cross mountains and rivers as if walking on flat ground. It originally took 10 days to get from Chang'an County to Tianshui City, but this Jiao horse travels day and night and can arrive in 2 days. This kind of Jiao horse carriage is very expensive. Looking at the entire Tianshui County, only our Demon Suppression Division has the strength to equip it on a large scale. After saying that, the black-shirt lieutenant raised his chin slightly, looking quite proud. Gu Cheng also recognized the other party, who was a personal guard beside General Su that day. After greeting the other party, he continued to ask, "Is it possible for a half-demon with demon blood like this to open up its spiritual wisdom and become a complete demon? It's basically impossible. After generations of selection, this kind of Jiaoma has been bred to be extremely docile, and look at its silly behavior. How can it be intelligent?" That the guard explained with a smile. His attitude was very kind. The handsome young man in front of him was deeply appreciated by Lord Su, and he would definitely be reused in the future. He had to establish a good relationship with the other party in advance. That's right. Gu Cheng looked at Jiaoma's not very smart face and nodded silently, just when he was secretly thinking about whether this half-demon could explode his life after being killed. "Lord Gu," an old voice came from the side of the road. Gu Cheng looked at the voice and saw a white-haired old man walking slowly with the support of 2 villagers. It was the old village chief of Gaojia village. "Village Chief Gao. Why are you here so early in the morning?" Gu Cheng looked surprised. He hadn't seen him for a long time since he killed 2 tiger monsters in Baichao Mountain last time. "Master Gu, I heard that you are leaving Chang'an County today and going to Gaojiu in Tianshui City. I came here this morning just to see you off." The old village chief took 2 steps forward and held Gu Cheng's hands tightly. His wrinkled face looked quite serious. Gu Cheng opened his mouth and was about to say something. "Master Gu. Brother Gu. Master Gu." A group of people came out of the gate of the county town one after another to see him off. They were all familiar faces to Gu Cheng: Xiao Yun, Xiao Qing'er, Hiyu, Chen Xiu, and other colleagues in the government office, shopkeeper Song, Madam Song, and several wealthy families in South City. All those who had received help and favor from Gu Cheng before, almost all came to see him off at this moment. Even the butchers who he often visited when buying vegetables in the vegetable market before, hurried over. Gu Cheng looked at these familiar faces, some smiling, some reluctant, and a warm current surged in his heart. It seems that in the past 2 months, he has inadvertently made so many causes and effects in this world. Gu Cheng exchanged greetings with these old friends who came to see him off. Suddenly, it seemed that there was a cold and beautiful figure missing in the crowd. Strange, where did Lin Qinyan go? Gu Cheng was puzzled and asked the 2 female adjutants about this matter. Didn't Lord Lin tell you before?" Hiyu and Chen Xiu looked at each other, both with surprise, and then replied. "Lord Lin resigned a few days ago and left Chang'an County. Yeah, before she left, she gave each of us a bottle of elixir. I don't know where she got it from." Resigned. Gu Cheng was slightly startled and asked quickly. "Did she say where she was going?" The 2 female adjutants shook their heads together, looking a little lonely. Seeing this, Gu Cheng couldn't help but frown, but when he thought of her mysterious master who could give away the "for spirit's true meaning" casually, he was soon relieved. If Lin Qinyan really took the script of Xiao Yan, then under the arrangement of her medicine master, she would go out to find various opportunities and work hard to become stronger, right? If that's the case, when the 2 of them meet again, how much should Lin Qinyan have grown? It's really exciting, looking forward to it. On the official road in the mountains, a team of the Demon Suppression Division was speeding. The exaggerated speed was just like flying on the ground. The strong wind blew up the flags on the carriage, making a rustling sound. if an ordinary carriage ran at this speed, the people in the carriage would have been shaken to pieces, but this ebony car body was obviously specially treated, and with the blessing of the mechanism and formation, the shock absorption effect was first class. Gu Cheng sat quietly in the spacious carriage, and felt almost no bumps along the way, which was very comfortable. In addition to him, there was another familiar face in the carriage. Xiao Cheng, let me tell you, there are so many fun places in Tianshui City. Captain Zhao, dressed in casual clothes, sat opposite Gu Cheng, talking non-stop. The captain of the Demon Suppression Division branch is at the same level as the black-shirt lieutenant of the headquarters. After being dismissed and investigated, Captain Zhao naturally had to return to Tianshui City to listen to them. Along the way, the two acquaintances naturally rode in the same car and chatted to relieve boredom. Captain Zhao was a talkative person, and now that he was free from the burden of leadership, he was even more talkative. Along the way, he shared a lot of information about Tianshui County with Gu Cheng, as well as various strange people and events, gossip and wild history. This made a young man who walked out of the novice village for the first time gain a lot of knowledge. That, Lord Zhao. Just call me Lao Zhao. We are not in Changle County now, and I am no longer a captain. Zhao Yuanjie smiled and waved his hand. His attitude was quite free and easy. Gu Cheng nodded and continued to ask. Lao Zhao, you just said that the Blood Knife sect was only a second-rate force in Tianshui County before. But didn't its previous leader break through to the spiritual sea realm? Of course, because the judgment standard of a first-rate force depends not only on strength, but also on its inheritance. Zhao Yuanjie looked quite serious and patiently explained. In the martial arts, the most important thing is inheritance. The lifespan of our human race is so short that even as strong as Linghai Venerable, after 1,000 years, it will be nothing more than a pile of yellow earth. Only forces that can ensure that they can cultivate Linghai realm strongmen from generation to generation and keep their inheritance from generation to generation are qualified to be called first-class forces. Those forces that rely on one or two geniuses and are glorious for a while can only be regarded as quasi-first class at best. Inheritance. Gu Cheng muttered to himself, thinking, the importance of inheritance is self-evident. The Xiao family in Chongshan County is a ready-made example. No matter how glorious it was before, after all the Linghai masters died and the inheritance was cut off, it immediately collapsed, and each generation was worse than the previous one. In the end, it was even tragically wiped out overnight, which is really a pity. But then again, what is a hacker like me who relies on Krypton Life to practice? Gu Cheng pondered for a moment, and a strange color flashed in his eyes. If the inheritance of other major forces is passed down from generation to generation, it has a long history, then Gu Cheng relies on his endless lifespan to inherit himself. With his own strength, he surpasses others for thousands of generations. Chapter 83. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Old Zhao, what first-rate forces are there in Tianshui County now? Gu Cheng looked curious. Well. Zhao Yuanjie thought for a moment, stretched out 4 fingers, and said, according to the most stringent standards, Tianshui County now has a total of 4 first-class forces. The first one you must be most familiar with is Tianshui City, Demon Suppression Division. There are currently 4 Linghai Venerables in charge, which is enough to suppress all the villains. At the critical moment, they can also mobilize people from other places. The strength is the strongest. Zhao Yuanjie put away an index finger and continued to popularize science. The second one is the Mingjian Villa, in Longzhou Mountain, Chen family. This is a spiritual family that has been passed down for nearly 1,000 years. It is not only proficient in sword forging, but also famous in Yunzhou for its sword controlling skills. But a few hundred years ago, when the rebirth religion was raging in Yunzhou, Mingjian Villa was seriously injured and almost broke its inheritance. After hundreds of years of recuperation, they gradually recovered and returned to the first-class force. Zhao Yuanjie said this, his tone was a little excited. As a swordsman, he would have longed for the Mingjian Villa, which has countless swords. Gu Cheng sighed silently in his heart. They were also seriously injured by the catastrophe that swept through Yunzhou. The Xiao family in Chongshan County was not as lucky as Mingjian Villa. The third one is the Puzhao Temple in Jinyun Mountain. The monks there are all proficient in body training and are quite powerful. The unique skill of their temple, Vajra glazed body, is known as the strongest body training method in Tianshui County. Oh. So powerful? But when he heard the strongest, Gu Cheng immediately became interested. I wonder if his yin-yang absolute immortal hand can break the defense of these monks. Then he looked up at Lao Zhao and continued to ask. What about this fourth first-class force? This fourth one? Zhao Yuanjie did not answer immediately, but kept it a secret and asked. Xiao Cheng, guess why this dragon horse that pulls the cart can become a specialty of Tianshui County? This. Gu Cheng looked at Lao Zhao's serious face and understood something instantly. You mean, is Tianshui County the lair of the Jiaolong? That's right, Zhao Yuanjie nodded slightly and said in a deep voice. The last first-class force in Tianshui County is the Jiaolong Palace, in the Tianshui River. Since the fall of the Rebirth sect, there has been no particularly powerful magic organization in Tianshui County, but these long worms in the Tianshui River have always been a big worry for the Demon Suppression Division. I don't know how many years that old Jiao has lived. Anyway, the 8 children it gave birth to are all great demons in the spiritual sea realm. And it itself, according to legend, has even touched a higher realm. That means that there are at least 9 spiritual sea realm in this Jiaolong Palace. Gu Cheng frowned. Good guy, he hasn't even met a few people in the Xiantian realm now, and the spiritual sea realm has already started to appear in groups. Yes, so the Jiaolong Palace is so powerful that it is the top force in the entire Yunzhou. Zhao Yuanjie sighed and said quietly, the 4 Linghai masters of our Demon Suppression Division have been staring at the long worms in the water almost all the time. It is because the Jiaolong clan has always been sleepy and sleeps in the river for several years. They are not as cruel and murderous as ordinary demons. Otherwise, relying on the few people in Tianshui County alone, they can't stabilize the current situation. Speaking of this, Lao Zhao suddenly thought of something and looked at the handsome young man beside him. Xiao Cheng, you must be careful when you go out to perform demon-killing tasks in the future. Those ordinary water monsters are okay, but those dragon sons and grandsons with dragon blood, you'd better not provoke them easily, otherwise, if you provoke the Jiaolong Palace, it will inevitably cause them to retaliate wildly. Well, I know. Gu Cheng nodded on the surface, but he didn't care at all in his heart. Just kidding. There is no reason not to kill the monsters in this world. Since he started practicing the method of refining the spirit and knew how to refine the demon servant, Gu Cheng has not been able to find the right refining materials. Now it seems that this Jiaolong Palace is a good source of materials. Just imagine, when Gu Cheng's power is strong, he will refine all 9 members of the Jiaolong Palace into demon servants. In the future, when you go out, you don't need to use a Jiao horse to pull the car, just use a Jiaolong demon servant. 9 dragons pulling a carriage. That scene must be very grand, right? 2 days later, after this period of time, the convoy of the Demon Suppression Division finally arrived at the destination of this trip, Tianshui City. Gu Cheng leaned out of the car window and looked forward. He saw an extremely majestic city standing quietly in front of him. The blue-black city wall was towering, at least twice as high as the city wall of Chang'an County, and it was endless in the field of vision, with no end in sight. The convoy of the Demon Suppression Division gradually slowed down and drove into the city through a special passage. It was noon at this time. On the avenue that could accommodate 8 carriages in parallel, there were crowds of people and it was quite lively. Along the street, there were peddlers and vendors coming and going from the south and the north. There were stalls, performances, fortune-telling, everything. Gu Cheng looked at the noisy and bustling scene outside the car window. His expression was a little dazed. If there were not so many high-rise buildings here, and the pedestrians were dressed too retro. He even had the illusion that he had traveled back in time. Xiao Cheng, is this your first time in Tianshui City? Zhao Yuanjie saw Gu Cheng's reaction and laughed. The area of Tianshui City is 6 or 7 times that of Chang'an County, and the population of the city is close to more than 3 million. Even if you look at the 12 counties of Yunzhou, Tianshui City is still one of the top 3 large towns. The Jiaoma carriage moved slowly along the special road, heading east of the city. There were fewer and fewer pedestrians on the streets along the way, but patrol teams in black shirts could be seen from time to time. Another stick of incense passed, the carriage slowly stopped under a dark brown wall. Gu Cheng jumped off the carriage first and looked around. I saw the 2-meter-high wall stretching endlessly, as if another small city was enclosed in Tianshui City. Coupled with the fully armed black-robed lieutenant standing guard at the gate, it felt like a military base. Obviously, this was the Demon Suppression Division of Tianshui City. Boy, keep this token first. If you encounter anything in the Yamen in the future, you can report my name, Su Weiniang. That guy. Wang Lin, take him to get the things first, and get familiar with the place by the way. General Su took out a golden token from his arms, threw it to Gu Cheng, and then led Zhao Yuanjia away in a hurry. The guard who had previously popularized the dragon horse with him came forward and smiled at the young man. Let's go, brother Gu. Yes. Gu Cheng nodded and followed Wang Lin into the Demon Suppression Division station through the side door. Chapter 84. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Demon Suppression Division's base looked quite impressive from the outside, but it seemed a little deserted inside. Gu Cheng followed Wang Lin all the way and didn't meet many black-shirt lieutenants. The few he occasionally met were all in a hurry. After nodding to Wang Lin, they ran away. The work of the Demon Suppression Division headquarters is much busier than you think. In the 128 counties in Tianshui County, if there are problems that cannot be solved locally, the headquarters will send experts to put out the fire everywhere. Therefore, the lieutenants of the headquarters, except for those who are on missions outside, basically stay in their own courtyards to rest or practice. Maybe he saw the confusion in Gu Cheng's eyes. Wang Lin led the way and patiently explained. Of course, these have little to do with you as a newcomer. Don't think too much, just wait for the final assessment. Okay, I understand. Gu Cheng followed behind him, nodded calmly, and asked. By the way, Brother Wang, how will the final assessment be conducted? Well, this year's assessment is very simple, and the old man will lead you on a mission. On a mission? Gu Cheng's eyes moved slightly. Is this a direct assessment of actual combat? Yes. Wang Lin smiled and added. By drawing lots, you and several other newcomers will join a field team and become their temporary teammates. After the mission is over, your final assessment results will be assessed based on your achievements in the mission. In fact, those who can pass the selection of the Demon Suppression Division and persist to the last level must have something to recommend them. In addition, the Demon Suppression Division has always been short of staff in the past 2 years, so the assessment will naturally not be too strict. As long as you are not too lazy, listen to the leader's command during the mission, and do what you can basically pass it smoothly. Gu Cheng nodded in understanding, looking forward to it. It's good to go out on missions. In the current situation of Tianshui County, going out on missions is basically equivalent to having demons and evil cultivators to kill. But even so, Brother Gu, you must not take it lightly. When the Demon Suppression Division recruits new people every year, it will list the results of the new people's final assessment. The top 50 new people can get a secret order of the armory, which can be exchanged for any secret book of breaking the ordinary realm in the armory. That when mentioning the secret order of the armory, Wang Lin's eyes flashed with envy, and he said faintly. The armory of the Tianshui City headquarters is completely different from the armory of the branch. The variety of martial arts techniques in it is absolutely beyond your imagination. Therefore, this secret order of the armory is also extremely precious. Unless ordinary lieutenants put their heads on their belts, they will not be able to accumulate enough corresponding secret books without 6 or 7 years of hard work. Merit. In addition to this armory secret order, the top 5 newcomers can also get a mysterious reward. I don't know what the specific reward is, but our Demon Suppression Division is rich, and the things that can be taken out are naturally extremely precious. Speaking of this, Wang Lin slowed down his pace and sincerely suggested to the young man behind him. Brother Gu, there are about 700 newcomers participating in the final assessment this year, including many young talents from famous families. With your strength, I'm afraid it's not likely to rank in the top 5, but it should not be a problem to strive for the top 50. Well, I'll take your good words. Gu Cheng smiled slightly, rubbing his hands in his heart. He was not very interested in the so-called mysterious reward, but he was determined to get the armory's secret order. After all, one of the main reasons for him to choose to join the Demon Suppression Division headquarters was the second volume of Blue Dragon 100 Refining. Now it seems that this goal will be achieved soon. Wang Lin led Gu Cheng to the Ministry of Internal Affairs to register and receive a new uniform and sword. They also went to important facilities such as the canteen, the martial arts field, and the Foreign Affairs Hall to familiarize themselves with the terrain. Finally, the two of them headed west to the residential area of the West Courtyard and stopped in front of a quiet courtyard. The area of the courtyard did not look large, only about half the size of the Gu family courtyard. On the closed door, there was a doorplate with the words Wuzi Shichi engraved on it. Brother Gu, you will stay here for the next few days. Wang Lin handed a key to Gu Cheng. Originally, according to Lord Su's intention, a single courtyard was to be arranged for you, but there have been too many people coming to the government office recently, and the single courtyards have been divided up. This double courtyard, just make do with it for now. Thank you. Gu Cheng bowed to Wang Lin. After watching the guide go away, he turned and walked towards the courtyard. Gu Cheng pushed the door open and heard the sound of a long sword swinging. Looking up, he saw a one-armed swordsman in a black shirt, holding a 3-foot green peak, practicing sword alone in the courtyard. He danced with the sword very slowly, just like the old men practicing Tai Chi sword in the park in Gu Cheng's previous life. But the seemingly simple moves contained a unique momentum as elegant as clouds. As the one-armed swordsman swung the long sword in his hand, the withered yellow leaves in the courtyard were also flying up and down around him under the traction of an invisible sword energy, which was very cool. What a handsome swordsmanship! Gu Cheng stood aside and watched for a moment, marveling in his heart. Although he was not proficient in swordsmanship, as a sword master, he could see some of the tricks. The swordsmanship of this one-armed swordsman has been cultivated to the realm of perfection, and there is a possibility of further progress. If he can get a flash of inspiration, he may break through the limit and comprehend the ultimate meaning of martial arts. I didn't expect that my roommate is actually a sword genius. Gu Cheng secretly sighed in his heart. The headquarters of the Demon Suppression Division is indeed full of talents, and somehow, he felt that this one-armed swordsman seemed familiar, but he couldn't remember where he had seen him. At the same time, the one-armed swordsman stopped dancing with the sword, and the flying dead leaves suddenly fell down. He made a sword flower with his hand, raised his eyes to look at Gu Cheng, and asked indifferently. New here? Yeah. Tingyun Martial Arts School, Chao Jianxin. The one-armed swordsman's self-introduction was extremely concise. Gu Cheng followed suit, clasped his fists and saluted. Changle County, Gu Cheng. Changle County. Chao Jianxin frowned slightly, as if some bad memories were evoked. Then he looked down and saw the precious sword MOU on Gu Cheng's waist, and his eyes lit up. Your sword is good. I think your sword skills are also very exquisite, right? Would you like to spar with me? Well, forget it, I'm not good at sparring with others. Gu Cheng smiled and waved his hand. He didn't lie. After all, he was only good at killing the enemy efficiently. It was really boring to have to hold back when sparring with others to prevent accidentally killing the other party. Chao Jianxin nodded silently and didn't say much. Holding the long sword, he slowly walked back to the east wing. Chao Jianxin. It turned out to be him. Gu Cheng looked at the back of the one-armed swordsman, and his face showed a look of realization. Now he remembered when he had seen the other party, in Changle County before. This Chao Jianxin was hired by the Chen family as a caravan guard, but was attacked by the Blood Claw wolf monster and had his left arm torn off. If Gu Cheng hadn't come to save people in the vest of a monster catcher, this buddy would have died long ago. Strange, I remember that he was only at the peak of chi and blood at that time. It's been less than 2 months, and he has already broken through to the broken ordinary realm. And this sword technique that has reached perfection, if he had such strength at that time, the Blood Claw wolf demon might not be able to withstand his 3 swords. Is he following the script of Sword Doluo? After breaking his arm, his strength has improved by leaps and bounds. TSK, is this the world of geniuses? Gu Cheng smacked his lips, feeling quite subtle. In this world, sometimes the gap between people can be even greater than that between people and dogs. Luckily, he has a cheat. Otherwise, with his poor talent and qualifications, how can he compete with these real geniuses? Chapter 85. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Time passed, in the blink of an eye, half a month had passed, Jianshui City, Demon Suppression Division Office, Courtyard Number 17, Wuzi, Gu Cheng wore a black shirt with cloud patterns and a jade belt around his waist, which made his figure more upright. At this time, he sat in front of the piano table, his slender fingers flying on the strings. The sound of the piano flowed out. Like a battlefield of golden weapons and iron horses, the murderous aura contained in the piano sound made the temperature in the room drop a few degrees. The song ended. Gu Cheng smoothed the strings, looked up at the only listener in the room, smiled and said, "How is it? Brother Chao, how is my performance of General's Journey?" Chao Jianxin lowered his head and savored it for a long time, then slowly opened his eyes, with a look of admiration. "Amazing skills. Brother Gu, your piano skills are simply amazing. Even Miss Tianyin, who is always famous for her piano skills in Chunfeng Tower, is far inferior to you." Chao Jianxin looked up at Gu Cheng, his eyes were burning, like a little fan seeing his idol. In the past half-month, it was too boring. Gu Cheng had nothing to do, so he took out the guqin to entertain himself, but he also gained a loyal listener. Although Chao Jianxin was a serious swordsman, he was actually a literary youth who liked music. Faced with Gu Cheng's master-level performance, he was completely convinced within 2 days. Friendship between men is often so simple and pure. After a few exchanges, the two sides became close friends. I can't be compared with the courtesan in Chunfeng Tower. When you went to Chunfeng Tower before, did you go there just to listen to the music? Alas! I was young and romantic, and I didn't know much. Chao Jianxin recalled his ridiculous days of lingering in the flowers, and couldn't help but sigh. Gu Cheng looked at the one-armed swordsman who regretted his past, and his eyes moved slightly. "Brother Chao, you said before that you never approached women again after being heartbroken by your junior sister who loved you?" "That's right." Chao Jianxin nodded solemnly. "After escaping death that time, I realized it. Women will only affect the speed of swordsmen drawing swords. In order to pursue a stronger sword, I must cut off all unnecessary emotions." "Is that so?" Gu Cheng nodded thoughtfully. No wonder this buddy's strength grew so rapidly after his arm was broken. This really proves the old saying, if there is no woman in your heart, you will naturally draw the sword. Reading this, in Gu Cheng's mind, two figures with very different styles suddenly emerged, Lin Qinyan and Sun Yanxue. Not only did these two not hinder him, but they gave him a lot of good things, so the sentence should be said like this: women will affect the speed of my sword drawing, but rich women will not, because the rich woman will give me a better sword. Just when Gu Cheng was thinking wildly, dong dong dong. Outside the gate of the courtyard, there was a sudden and urgent knock on the door. "This is..." Gu Cheng and Chao Jianxin looked at each other, and both of them were refreshed. They hurried out of the room and opened the gate. Then they saw two black-shirt lieutenants standing at the gate expressionlessly, with sharp eyes like eagles. "You two are Gu Cheng and Chao Jianxin, right?" The lieutenant looked at the two people's appearance from left to right, and a stiff smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. "I think you have guessed what we are here for. Go back and pack your luggage, and go to the Foreign Affairs Hall with us to receive the task." Demon Suppression Department Yamen, Foreign Affairs Hall. A 5-story pagoda stood tall, and the red lacquered door was open. Figures in black shirts came in and out one after another, and their faces all looked hurried. Gu Cheng and Chao Jianxin, led by two lieutenants, came to the entrance of the Foreign Affairs Hall and met up with two other colleagues, and under a big tree not far away, a young woman with long silver-white hair and wearing a cloud-patterned black shirt was looking at Gu Cheng and Chao Jianxin with interest with her arms around her chest. The woman had fair skin and a cinnabar mole between her eyebrows. She was obviously a rich lady from a wealthy family. She looked pretty good, but the arrogance between her eyebrows was really disgusting. If nothing unexpected happened, this silver-haired woman was the third newcomer in the team to take the assessment. "You are not here with good intentions." Gu Cheng frowned slightly. With such a thorny guy here, this mission might not be so smooth. At this time, the silver-haired woman walked slowly in front of the two of them. After looking him up and down, his eyes were fixed on Chao Jianxin's empty left sleeve. "Hey, what's wrong? How come there is a disabled person among my teammates?" That the silver-haired woman covered her mouth with an exaggerated expression, mocking. "Is the Demon Suppression Division of Tianshui's city actually so short of people? What did you say?" A cold light flashed in Chao Jianxin's eyes, and an extremely sharp sword intent instantly burst out from his body, and the hem of his black shirt moved without wind. In public, he was exposed in such a malicious way by others. Even if the other party was a woman, he, a swordsman who claimed to be a gentleman, would never show mercy. "Say it again if you have the guts." The one-armed swordsman spoke coldly, and his right hand grasped the hilt of the sword without leaving a trace. "What? Didn't you hear clearly just now?" Faced with Chao Jianxin's threat, the silver-haired woman was not afraid at all, and sneered. "It seems that you not only lost an arm, but also have problems with your ears." The words of the silver-haired woman were like adding fuel to the fire. The smell of gunpowder in the air instantly became extremely strong. Just when the two sides were on the verge of a fight, the 4 black-shirt lieutenants did not stop it at all, but stood quietly by and watched the show. Gu Cheng took in this abnormal phenomenon and thought about it. "Stinky bitch." Chao Jianxin was already furious and drew out the long sword from his waist. However, before he could make any follow-up moves, swish, a silver-white light flew out from the sleeves of the silver-haired woman, dancing freely in the air like a swimming fish, and finally hovered in front of Chao Jianxin. It was a bright silver magic sword. The 3-foot sword tip was shining with precious light, and the sword light was emitting a sharp and supreme sword intent. "Humph, you dare to draw your sword in front of me, you are really asking for trouble," the silver-haired woman mocked mercilessly, and the fluorescence on the life sword also flashed continuously. "Sword control technique? Are you the heir of famous sword villa?" Chao Jianxin's pupils shrank suddenly, and a huge wave suddenly rose in his heart. At this time, he had been firmly locked by the sword intent of the magic sword. If he dared to move a little, he would probably be beheaded on the spot, with no room for resistance at all. "I am not my opponent at all. Damn, why is the gap so big?" Chao Jianxin's mood at this time gradually changed from shock to sadness. After experiencing the pain of a broken arm, he had a great enlightenment, focused on the sword, and his own strength also improved by leaps and bounds. His Luyuan sword technique has even reached the point of perfection. He can destroy any ordinary demon in the broken ordinary realm with one sword. Chao Jianxin thought that after this double training of body and mind, his strength can be considered outstanding among the younger generation, but he never thought that in front of the heir of Mingjian Villa, he was as weak as a piece of paper. Damn it! Is this person's talent and hard work so vulnerable in front of the inheritance and heritage of the big family, that just when Chao Jianxin was doubting his life, a handsome figure wearing a black shirt and a black knife on his waist suddenly stepped forward and blocked him. The dark eyes looked forward quietly, indifferent and calm. Chapter 86. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Have you had enough of this? Do you think it's fun to bully people with just your equipment? Gu Cheng said lightly, looking up at the magic sword floating in the air, with a dead look in his eyes. After a moment, he found several weaknesses on the silver magic sword. As long as he touched it lightly with his yin-yang absolute immortal hand, he would be able to tear it into pieces in the blink of an eye. Humph, who are you, a pretty boy? Don't think I won't hit you just because you're handsome. The silver-haired woman glanced at Gu Cheng and sensed him slightly with her mind. She found that the other party didn't even have a sea of qi, just a small fish at the peak of the qi and blood realm, and she couldn't help but sneer, just about to make a mockery. Suddenly, a creepy feeling came from her lifelong magic sword. Even the sword body of the magic sword was shaking uneasily. What's going on? My sword is actually afraid of that young man. The silver-haired woman was shocked. She was in tune with her own magic sword, so she didn't dare to treat it as an illusion. She calmed down and looked at Gu Cheng's dark eyes. The uneasiness in her heart became stronger. Obviously, the opponent was full of flaws, but I always felt that as long as I made a move, I would be killed instantly. Who is this guy? A trace of fear flashed in the eyes of the silver-haired woman. Originally, she took the initiative to find trouble, wanting to pinch a soft persimmon to establish her authority, so that she could occupy an absolute leadership position in the next mission. but she never thought that she would run into such a hard guy who didn't know his depth. Humph. Since you look pretty good, I'll spare you today. The silver-haired woman put away the magic sword in a huff. He still didn't give in, but the arrogance in his brows was restrained from the heart. You're not going to fight anymore. Seeing this scene, the 4 black-shirt lieutenants who were standing aside and watching the show were surprised. I had heard that the lady of Mingjian Villa had a very bad personality. How come she suddenly changed after meeting that boy named Gu? Could it be that being handsome really gives you an advantage? Just when the 4 lieutenants were in mixed feelings and felt desperate about this world that values appearance, 2 figures, a man and a woman, walked out of the gate of the Foreign Affairs Hall and walked quickly towards the place where several people were waiting. The leader was a middle-aged man with a big beard. He wore a golden crown on his head, was tall and strong, and had a rough face. He wore a ghost-headed broadsword on his waist, like a green forest hero, with a face full of banditry. If he paints his face a little darker, he will look like the black whirlwind Li Kuei. Following closely behind the man is a woman with a pretty face and a plump figure. She wears a slightly loose black shirt, which pushes up her chest. Seeing the 2 approaching, the 4 lieutenants all bowed and saluted. Fong Tu. Sister Yanin. Yes. Fong Su nodded, raised his eyes to look at the silver-haired woman, and scolded coldly. Chen Shuejiao. How many times have I told you that this is Qianshui City, not Longzhou Mountain of your Chen family? If you still do what you want, you'd better go home as soon as possible. Our Demon Suppression Division is small and can't accommodate a big monk like you. Yes, you are teaching me that I was wrong just now. Okay. Chen Shuejiao pouted, turned her head away with an indignant look, and apologized in a perfunctory manner. Fong Su was too lazy to waste time talking to her. He swept his eyes over the 3 newcomers one by one and continued. Your assessment has already begun. The reason why you 3 are asked to act together is to test your teamwork ability. In the next mission, I don't want what happened just now to happen again. Do you understand? The 3 of them nodded in unison. Gu Cheng remained calm on the surface, but he sneered at it in his heart. In fact, it can be seen from the attitude of the 4 lieutenants just now. Under the condition that does not affect the mission, the Demon Suppression Division actually tacitly allows the newcomers to compete with each other. Teamwork. If one person is strong enough to do the work of a small team, then even if he does not understand teamwork, what does it matter? Beasts are all alone, while cattle and sheep are in groups. With the increasingly dangerous situation in Qianshui County, compared to the groups of cattle and sheep, the Demon Suppression Division obviously wants to select the lone beast. Qianshui City, East Gate. 2 carriages with dragon horses slowly drove out of the city and immediately began to gallop, heading west along the official road. Gu Cheng sat in the second carriage. Together with the other 2 newcomers, they listened to the plump female captain, telling the details of this mission. The location of this mission is in Baihe County, Qianshui County. Su Yanin leaned against the carriage, with her arms around her chest, looking lazy and casual. Baihe County is close to a tributary of the Qianshui River, which was once the territory of a great demon in the Xiantian realm. The Demon Suppression Department once sent several generals to surround and kill it, but the green water demon ape is too cunning and proficient in water control magic, making it extremely difficult to deal with. The Demon Suppression Department has made several secret operations, but all have failed. However, according to the latest information from the local Demon Suppression Department branch, more than half a month ago, the green water demon ape suddenly disappeared strangely. I don't know whether it quietly left here or was killed by some powerful enemy. A strange color flashed in the eyes of the female lieutenant, and she said in a serious voice. With the disappearance of this great demon in the Xiantian realm, several demons in the broken ordinary realm came here to seize territory, making the surrounding areas of Baihe County a mess. The purpose of our trip is to kill all those demons who are causing trouble and investigate the reason for the disappearance of the green water demon ape. Well, then the second task has been completed. Gu Cheng couldn't help but look strange. Judging from the time and geographical location, the green water demon ape in Baihe County should have been killed by Sun Yanshue's ant on the way to Changle County. Even its demon core had been completely devoured and refined by Gu Cheng, so there was no need to investigate at all. After explaining the details of this mission, Su Yanin took out a booklet from her pocket. Her eyes swept over the 3 people one by one, and finally fixed on Gu Cheng. "Hey, little brother, your name is Gu Cheng, right?" Su Yanan raised the booklet in her hand to Gu Cheng and smiled. "The information of the two newcomers has long been recorded in the Demon Suppression Division, and now only yours is missing. What martial arts are you good at? I see that the sword you carry is quite extraordinary. Are you a master of swordsmanship?" The female lieutenant glanced at the ink sword on the young man's waist with a curious look on her face. Hearing this, Chao Jianxin slowly raised his head and looked at Gu Cheng. Cheng Shuejiao remained calm on the surface, pretending to look at the scenery outside the car window, but she also subconsciously pricked up her ears. "You don't have to think too much. As a temporary teammate, we naturally have to understand your details first, so that Feng Tu can assign you tasks at that time." Seeing Gu Cheng's hesitation, Su Yanan sighed and explained softly. "Exploring monsters, stealth tracking, flank surprise attacks, facing the enemy head-on. What is your highest martial arts level and what kind of work are you good at handling? Just tell me." This. Gu Cheng glanced at his personal panel, pondered for a moment, and said lightly. "I seem to know a little bit of everything. You can ask me to do anything." As a well-rounded hexagonal warrior, Gu Cheng naturally has no shortcomings, but this answer has a completely different meaning in other people's ears. "Okay, I get it." Su Yanan looked at Gu Cheng deeply, with a slightly strange look on her face. Knowing a little bit of everything? Doesn't that mean he knows nothing at all? Alas. He looks good, but he turns out to be a silver-plated spearhead. Let's talk to Feng Tu later and assign him some simple tasks to do. Chapter 87. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Baihe County is not far from Tianshui City. With the speed of Jiaoma, it can even be reached on the same day. Gu Cheng and his party set out at noon, and when they arrived at the destination, the sun had not completely set. Under the dim sunset, two ebony carriages drove slowly into the city from the main gate along the official road. The gorgeous and domineering ebony body immediately attracted the attention of passers-by. The area of Baihe County is not much different from that of Chang'o County, however, the local population has obviously decreased a lot, and the streets are empty. At a glance, hungry people who can't get enough food can be seen everywhere, a scene of depression in the year of disaster. According to common sense, this county is close to the canal and should be a prosperous place, but it is so miserable. I think this is also affected by the rebellion of the water monster, right? Gu Cheng looked through the car window at several skinny children begging on the street and sighed quietly. Think about it carefully, this is really a world of rot. Originally, his hometown Chang'o County was a mess. Not only were there many local tyrants and bullies, but the local government had a very bad reputation, but compared with Baihe County in front of us, Chang'o County is simply a paradise. About an incense stick of time passed, everyone sat in an ebony carriage and came to the local Demon Suppression Division branch. In front of the Vermilion Gate, an old man with white hair and beard, wearing black clothes, led more than 20 confidants and had been waiting here for a long time. Seeing Feng Su and others get off the carriage, he immediately walked up to them and bowed deeply. "I am Yan Qingsong, and I greet all the lords of Tianshui City." "I greet all the lords." As soon as Captain Yen finished speaking, his confidants behind him shouted loudly, and the sound was deafening. The black-shirt lieutenants of the Demon Suppression Division headquarters are divided into 4 levels according to the words on their waist badges: iron, copper, silver, and gold. Among them, the gold medal lieutenants are generally the leaders of the field teams, wearing a golden crown and tying their hair, which is the most recognizable. As for the captains of the Demon Suppression Division branch, according to the level classification, they are approximately equal to the silver medal captains of the headquarters. In this way, this old captain is indeed a bit too polite. "Master Yen, why do you have to be so polite?" Feng Su frowned slightly on his rough face, and he obviously hated this useless formalism, but he couldn't say it clearly, and hurriedly took 2 steps forward to help the old man who bowed and saluted. "Etiquette cannot be abolished. You all came here in your busy schedule to save the people of Baihe County from the dire situation. As a local captain, I must thank you very much." Captain Yen laughed and bowed to everyone. "It's getting late now. I have prepared a banquet in the yamen to welcome you." "Thank you." Fang Su nodded and walked forward. Gu Cheng and others followed closely and followed the old captain into the yamen. As the saying goes, you live by the mountain, you eat by the mountain, you live by the water, you eat by the water. The welcoming banquet prepared by Captain Yen for everyone was mainly composed of various river seafood. There were 2 large tables of those delicacies that were rarely seen on weekdays. Just looking at the exquisite plating, you can tell that this meal is definitely worth a lot of money. Fang Su and the others had been sitting in the carriage for most of the day and were already hungry, so they immediately started to eat heartily. Gu Cheng tasted 2 dishes casually, savored them carefully, and nodded secretly. The chefs here are really good, and they are only slightly inferior to him who has the true cooking skills of the Blood Lady. However, when he thought of the hungry people with pale faces and thin bodies on the streets of the city, Gu Cheng looked at the colorful and fragrant carp noodles on the table, and suddenly lost the interest in enjoying the food. After 3 rounds of wine and 5 dishes, Fang Su and the Captain Yen were toasting and chatting very speculatively. As the old man talked, everyone quickly gained a lot of useful information and had a general understanding of the situation around Baihe County. The territory of the Green Water Demon Ape is located in a wetland forest east of Baihe County, named Shuyans. There is a tributary of Tianshui River passing through there. It has excellent feng shui and abundant food. It is an ideal place for many water monsters. Since the mysterious disappearance of the innate monster, Shuyans has attracted many monsters to compete for territory. After this period of mutual attack, there are only 3 monsters in the mortal realm left. It is estimated that the final winner will be determined soon. In the face of such a thing, the Demon Suppression Division should sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight. If it weren't for the fact that these water monsters made too much noise, causing harm to many surrounding fishing villages and water towns, causing many fishermen to be displaced, the local government would not have ears for the call for people from the headquarters. Captain Yen spoke very carefully, and it was obvious that he had made sufficient preparations, but when Fang Su began to ask indirectly about the internal problems of Baihe County, the old man immediately started to practice Tai Chi. Finally, he excused himself for being too old to drink, and hurriedly got up and left. With the departure of Captain Yen, the atmosphere in the room suddenly became quiet. Everyone put down their chopsticks in unison and looked at the bearded leader wearing a golden crown on the main seat. Humph, that old man must have something to hide. Su Yanen's face was as dark as water, and he snorted coldly. Looking at his look of concern just now, the decline of Baihe County must not only be caused by the water monster. In that case, what should we do now? Chen Shuejiao, who was standing aside, immediately became energetic after hearing this. With a soft groan of choke, she summoned her life-defining magic sword on the spot, stood up suddenly, and said eagerly, "Do you want me to catch that old dog and torture him? Put away your sword, what are you thinking?" Fang Su rolled his eyes in annoyance. The strength of this successor of Mingjian Villa is indeed good, but his personality and behavior are really problematic. If I were a lieutenant general, I could do what I wanted and kill first and report later, but unfortunately I am only a gold medal captain. If there is no solid evidence, it is impossible to move a branch commander. The bearded man poured himself a glass of wine, raised his head and drank it all, and added, "Besides, if the water is too clear, there will be no fish. In this chaotic world of cannibalistic demons, how many of these grassroots branches of the Demon Suppression Division are absolutely clean and can withstand the investigation of the headquarters? He can report the demon problem in time, which is much better than many commanders who don't care about the lives of local people and just want to whitewash the peace. Our mission this time is to eliminate the local demon problem and investigate the whereabouts of the innate demon. As for other things, we only need to report truthfully and let the people of the Ministry of Internal Affairs decide." Hearing this, Su Yanen, Chao Jianxin and others looked at each other and nodded in agreement. "Tsk, boring." Seeing that there was no Lao Deng to beat, Chen Shuejiao had to put away her magic sword in dismay. With a look of regret on her face, Gu Cheng took in everyone's reactions and raised a meaningful smile at the corner of his mouth. Reporting the demon disaster in time is not necessarily because he has a conscience, but another more extreme possibility. Since completely refining the demon core of the green water demon ape, Gu Cheng's divine consciousness has been further condensed, and he has learned the water control, magical power of the water monkey. Now he not only has an extremely strong affinity for water flow, when facing the demonic evil spirit of the water demon, he has also become extremely sensitive, and just now when they were having dinner together, Gu Cheng sensed a very weak, but extremely obvious water demon aura from Yan Qianhu. Unless this old man is refining the water demon core to his own death, otherwise, the identity of this Yan Qianhu would be quite intriguing. Night falls, and the stars are twinkling. In the dark, Baihe County is like a sleeping beast, silent and dangerous. Yan Qianhu, wearing a nightgown, flew on the roof. He came to a remote and quiet courtyard in the corner of the county. He looked around, climbed over the wall quietly, came to the door, and knocked on the door gently with a specific rhythm. "Come in." A sexy female voice came from the house. Yan Qianhu pushed the door open and saw that the candlelight in the room was dim, like a ghost fire. A beautiful woman with revealing clothes and a charming face was sitting at the table, enjoying the delicious food in small bites. Yan Qianhu was quite tactful when he saw this, took off his hood, and stood aside and waited quietly. About half an incense stick of time passed. The enchanting beauty ate everything up, sighed with satisfaction, and praised. "Alas, it's still more comfortable to eat with human skin. The original body swallows everything whole and can't taste it at all." As she said that, she placed the remaining food in her hands on the wooden table. In the dim candlelight in the room, more than a dozen small and exquisite human skulls, which were gnawed and shiny, were neatly stacked in a row. The dark eye socket stared straight at Yan Qianhu, as if silently accusing him of his evil deeds of helping the evil. The old man shuddered for no reason, and cold sweat broke out on his back, but he quickly suppressed it. He took a deep breath and looked at the enchanting. The beautiful woman bowed and said respectfully, "Miss Yi, the people from the Demon Suppression Division have arrived." "Oh. So soon?" Miss Ye's charming face flashed with surprise. "How many people are here? What are their strengths?" 9 people in total, 1 high-level broken ordinary, 2 mid-level, 5 low-level, and 1 chi and blood. "Why are there so many people?" Miss Yi frowned slightly, raised her eyes and looked at Yan Qingsong. Her expression suddenly became dangerous. "Old man, did you say something you shouldn't have said and give yourself away?" "No way." Yan Qianhu waved his hands in panic and explained. "I've asked around. Among the 9 people, 3 are new rookies, except for a white-haired woman who looks a bit powerful. The other 2 are not to be feared at all." "Humph, I don't think you dare." Miss Yi nodded slightly. Seeing that the old man seemed to be hesitant to speak, she couldn't help but curl up a wicked smile at the corner of her mouth. She picked up a skull on the table and turned it upside down as a bone bowl. Then she rolled up her sleeves and gently scratched her white wrist with her sharp nails. Swish! The red demon blood flowed out instantly, filling the bone bowl halfway. Then the enchanting woman picked up the skull with demon blood and handed it to Yan Qianhu. "Here, according to the previous agreement, this is your reward." "Thank you, Miss Yi." Yan Qianhu hurriedly took 2 steps forward, took the skull, and drank it directly without caring how fishy the demon blood was. While practicing the technique, after a while, the old man let out a long sigh of satisfaction and wiped the corners of his mouth with a handkerchief. The wrinkled old face also became a little rosy. It was like the sage time after the flush. While Yan Qingsong's brain was clear, he also subconsciously began to think about life and recalled why he had fallen to this point today. 3 years ago, Yan Qianhu felt that his health was getting worse and worse, and he felt that his time was coming. In order to prolong his life, he spent a huge amount of money to get a health-preserving technique from a master, but he became obsessed because of greed and recklessness. From then on, he had to swallow fresh and powerful demon blood regularly to prolong his life. As a man who cherishes his life, he dared not go out to kill monsters and take their blood. He had to change his mindset and chose to go along with the monsters, becoming a traitor who helped the evildoers and abetted the evil. Alas, when will this kind of life end? Yan Qianhu sighed secretly, bowed to the charming woman, and asked, "Miss Yi, what is the situation of Shuyan's now? Is Master Yuan really?" "What Master Yuan?" "It has been replaced by Master Turtle, now." The charming woman chuckled, and then she told the whole story. More than half a month ago, a dragon turtle in the Xiantian realm was severely injured by a strong man in the Linghai realm, and was chased for thousands of miles. It fled all the way to the vicinity of Shuyan's and hid in a cold pond. the water in the cold pond was very deep, and even the Linghai Venerable was helpless. He was so angry that he took out his punching bag on the poor water monkey next door. The dragon turtle escaped, but was also seriously injured and could not travel far. It was afraid that its enemies would come to find it, so it had to temporarily occupy the territory of the green water demon ape and recruit the latter's old subordinates to recover quietly here. The reason why Yan Qin who asked people from the headquarters was nothing more than to wait and prepare the human treasure medicine for the dragon turtle to heal its wounds. That crazy woman is simply a living devil. Shui Yunze originally had so many water monsters, but she killed only 1 out of 10 in half an incense stick of time. But thanks to her, we, the surviving water monsters, have turned a disaster into a blessing, and have since become the Thai of Jiaolong Palace. Grandpa Turtle is the son and grandson of the old Dragon King of Tianshui River. He promised that as long as I can help him recover from his injuries, I can work by his side from now on. Miss Ye's eyes were burning. As a snake monster, she was born with an unparalleled enthusiasm for the Jiaolong species. Even if the other party was just a hybrid dragon turtle with Jiaolong blood, this enthusiasm did not diminish at all. The dragon turtle of Jiaolong Palace. Yan Qin frowned. As a human, he naturally could not understand this enthusiasm. Miss Yi, Grandpa Turtle is seriously injured now. Can it defeat those captains of our headquarters? Of course it can. Grandpa Turtle is a dragon with the blood of a dragon, and his strength is far beyond that of ordinary monsters. The charming woman nodded seriously. Don't look at it as it is seriously injured, but with just that thick tortoise shell, warriors below the innate realm can't break its defense at all. Coupled with the Jiaolong's powerful water control method, the 9 captains of the headquarters will definitely die. That's good, that's good. Hearing this, Captain Yen couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. If these 9 people don't die, once the truth is revealed, he, a traitor who accomplices the tiger, will die without a burial place. By the way, Lord Yen. Miss Yi looked at the old man with her beautiful eyes, smiling and saying. Master Turtle has already known about you and is very interested in you. He also specifically asked me to ask you if you are interested in being an insider for the Jiaolong Palace. That the old man's wrinkled face was full of confusion. He really didn't expect that a top force in Yunzhou like the Jiaolong Palace would actually extend an olive branch to him. If you agree, go to Shuyuan's with me tomorrow and kill a captain of the headquarters as a token of your loyalty. As a reward for joining the group, Mr. Turtle promised that he would give you a drop of his blood essence later. The charming woman smiled slightly and whispered seductively. That is the blood essence of the dragon turtle in the Xiantian realm. After you take it, it will be enough to help you prolong your life by 20 years. Prolong your life by 20 years. The hesitation in Yan Qingsong's eyes disappeared in an instant, replaced by burning greed. It's just killing a captain of our headquarters. Coincidentally, among the 9 people, there happened to be a small fish in the Qi and blood realm, and his strength was the weakest. Then let that kid be my token of loyalty to the Jiaolong Palace. Chapter 88. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The next day, at noon, east of Baihe County, Shuyuan's giant fir trees several dozen feet high, like giants, stand in a swamp, with huge treetops covering the sky and the sun, and such giant trees are endless, and there is no end in sight. Together with the reeds and algae in the stagnant water, they form a vibrant water town. Gu Cheng put his hands on the pergola and looked at the magnificent natural scenery in front of him, feeling relaxed and happy. To be honest, if there were no monsters in this place, it would definitely be an excellent tourist attraction. Is this Shuyuan's? Su Yanan looked around and frowned at the endless wetland forest. This area is too big, isn't it? How can we, the 9 of us, clear out the monsters here? No way, this was originally the territory of a great innate monster, and it should be handled by a general. Fang Su carried the ghost-headed sword on his shoulder, turned to look at Gu Cheng and the other 3 newcomers, and said with a smile. You 3 have been given such an assessment task, and I don't know how to deal with it. It's lucky or unfortunate. Fang Tu, what should we do next? A black-shirt lieutenant frowned slightly. With the strength of our team, we can fight even against ordinary innate monsters, and there is no problem with safety. But this is the home of water monsters after all. If those beasts hide in the water all the time, we can't do anything about it. The other lieutenants nodded in unison. Although there are 3 newcomers as temporary teammates this time, they still have too few people. If you want to complete this task efficiently, you need a different way. Why not? Let me be the bait. Chao Jianxin, who had been silent all the time, suddenly spoke. Seeing that everyone else was looking over, he pursed his lips and continued to explain. Just like fishing, I walk alone in front and am responsible for luring out those water monsters. You follow far behind and wait for the opportunity to act. Well, this is also a way. Hearing this, the black-shirt lieutenants looked at each other and nodded in agreement. Chen Shuejiao on the side curled her lips with disdain and snorted coldly. Humph, you disabled person, don't think about showing off. Let me be the bait. Besides, they are just a few water monsters that have broken through the mortal realm. As long as the beast dares to show up, I can cut it into a plate of fish sashimi within 10 breaths. You. Chao Jianxin's face was ashen, but he knew that he was no match for the silver-haired woman, so he had to cast his eyes on the bearded man in the lead. Chen Shuejiao also looked at Fang Su, waiting for the leader's final choice. Fang Su looked at the one-armed swordsman, and then at the silver-haired woman. After a moment of silence, he turned to look at the handsome young man who was silent. Gu Cheng, you said before that you can do any task. I guess your lightness skill should be very good, right? Then let you be the bait. What do you think? Okay. Gu Cheng was puzzled, but still nodded calmly. After all, he still had to strive to get the top 50, and there was no reason to refuse such a task that could gain merit. Hey! Big Beard, you! Chen Shuejiao looked annoyed. She had always been spoiled, so she couldn't stand others snatching away the opportunity to make merit, but when Gu Cheng raised his eyes and glanced at her, the life sword hidden in his sleeve suddenly trembled violently, and she immediately closed her mouth in shock. Fang Tu. Su Yanan looked puzzled. She had said before that Gu Cheng might be a half-baked man, so why did she assign him such a dangerous task? It can't be because this boy is good-looking and can fish out the monsters more easily, right? Fang Su gave the female lieutenant a calm look, then nodded to Gu Cheng and began to assign tasks. Okay, then you will be the bait. You don't need to care about anything else, just make a noise in this water and attract the attention of the monsters. I will follow you in secret. The rest of you, led by Yanan, will be on standby 1 mile away. Remember, don't alert the enemy, and come to support us immediately if there is any unusual movement on our side. Understood. That the lieutenants responded loudly and immediately took action. For most warriors, crossing the water by stepping on duckweed is never a difficult thing. As long as you practice any light skill to the level of proficiency, you can easily do this. When a warrior practices to the level of breaking through the ordinary, he condenses the sea of qi and can control the power of true qi. You can even apply the true qi to your feet like chakra, so that you can walk directly on the water. Surface as if walking on flat ground. Although Gu Cheng's qi training has not broken through to the level of breaking the ordinary, he cannot use the true qi, but his latest acquired, water control, magical power is just a superior substitute for this ability. Combined with the ultimate flowing cloud-chasing wind step, Gu Cheng is like a fish in water in this marshland, and his speed is as fast as a ghost. Leaving a trail of afterimages, a certain bearded man followed him from a distance and soon felt a little tired. What kind of powerful light skill did this kid practice? Fang Su flew all the way on the water, looking at Gu Cheng's ghostly and elegant figure, and was secretly shocked in his heart. Long before he set off, he was secretly told by Su Weiniang to pay more attention to the young man named Gu and take the opportunity to test his true strength. For this reason, Fang Su specially assigned this difficult bait task to Gu Cheng. As a result, he was almost thrown away by the other party before he caught the demon. General Su once said that this kid is a gifted body training genius. But now it seems that he is not only proficient in the method of body training, but also has considerable attainments in light skills. Just when Fang Dehuzi was feeling emotional, Gu Cheng actually accelerated again, and his figure suddenly disappeared from his sight, leaving only a phantom that slowly dissipated like a mirror flower and water moon. This Fong Su was stunned. Damn, this kid did it on purpose, right? You are a bait, what are you doing by running so fast? Fong Su's face darkened, but he was embarrassed to go back and join the main force, so as not to damage his dignity as the leader, he had to pretend and continue to wander in this wetland forest. At the same time, the role of the bait also inadvertently fell on the bearded man. Gu Cheng did it on purpose. The bearded leader was quite powerful, with him following behind. If a demon was really caught, he might be robbed by the other party. In order to avoid this kind of thing, Gu Cheng still prefers to act alone. The area of Shuyans is very large, almost catching up with 1/3 of Black Wind Mountain. Gu Cheng wandered in this marshland for nearly an hour, and except for some birds and water beasts, he didn't see even the shadow of a demon. Instead, he saw a lot of giant trees that were chopped into charcoal. Even after a long time, the familiar destructive breath of Lei Fa still remained on it. If nothing unexpected happened, this should be the work of Sun Yenshua's aunt. Half a month ago. It seems that she was not in a very good mood at that time. TSK, the demons here are really unlucky. Gu Cheng stood on the remains of a giant tree that was chopped into charcoal, looking around, thinking, according to his observations along the way, this Shuyans does not look like there are demons fighting for territory here. Instead, it is unusually calm. What is the ulterior purpose of Yan Qinhu's false news and tricking the captain of this department? Just as the young man was lost in thought, buzz, with a loud sound that shook the earth, the broken wood under Gu Cheng's feet began to tremble uneasily under the surging waves of the accumulated water. A weak but extremely pure demonic aura rose from afar, emitting a faint pressure. Such a strong breath has far exceeded the limit of the demons in the broken ordinary realm. It was from a great demon in the innate realm. Chapter 89. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A great demon in the Xiantian realm? How could there be another one? Look at the location where the demon erupted. Did it attack other people? Gu Cheng looked up into the distance and used his divine sense to sense it slightly. His expression was a little strange. He was obviously the bait, but he had been wandering around in a swagger. Was the great demon in the Xiantian realm blind? Why didn't he come to him directly? Alas, I failed as a bait. Gu Cheng sighed and was about to leave for the battlefield in the distance. Then he heard a strange sound of puff. 4 strange figures suddenly emerged from the accumulated water in the wetland, bringing up a large piece of water. The 4 people walked on the waves and surrounded Gu Cheng firmly in the middle. The look in his eyes when he looked at the young man was like looking at a live fish on a chopping board, full of teasing and greed. Well, it seems that it is not such a failure. Gu Cheng added in his mind, looking around, sizing up the 4 uninvited guests, a hot and beautiful woman, a fat man as fat as a ball, and a muscular man with an ordinary face. The demonic aura of these 3 people is not concealed, and is not inferior to the 2 demon kings of Black Wind Mountain. Obviously, they are all demons in the mortal realm wearing human skin, and their strength should not be underestimated. As for the 4th person, he is a mysterious man in black. The thick black mask covered most of his face, revealing only a pair of eyes, and his specific appearance could not be seen. However, Gu Cheng used his divine sense to perceive it slightly, and soon recognized the other party's true identity. Oh, Lord Yan, thank you so much for your hospitality last night. Gu Cheng narrowed his eyes slightly, bowed to the man in black, and said with a smile. You brought these 3 demons here now. Are you afraid that I am not full, so you specially come to give me a snack? Humph. Seeing that the other party had exposed his disguise at a glance, the man in black snorted coldly, pulled down the mask, revealing an old face full of wrinkles. Young man, don't blame me, blame your bad luck. The first time you go on a mission, you encounter such a dead end. Yan Qingsong's eyes were a little evasive, but soon he became firm, and said in a grim tone. But you are also lucky, because your cultivation is too low. You are not qualified to be the tonic of Master Turtle, so I will be merciful and leave you a whole body. Master Turtle? Tonic? Gu Cheng's eyes flashed with a hint of enlightenment. Judging from the breath of the innate realm monster, it should be in a state of serious injury. In this case, the reason why this old man tricked the captain of the headquarters to come here is to give that turtle a meal. For many monsters, the body of a warrior with a high level of cultivation is the best medicine for healing. Wait. Old man Yen. Are you going to use him as a token of surrender? The beautiful woman looked up and down at Gu Cheng with her beautiful eyes, and couldn't help but lick her lips with her tongue. It would be a pity to kill such a handsome boy. Why not lend him to me for 2 days so that I can have some fun? Yan Qingsong's old face suddenly turned black. I have heard that the snake monster clan is dissolute by nature and does not care about meat and vegetables. Now it is true, just as he was about to refuse, the strong man on the side suddenly warned loudly. Mother worm, be careful behind you. Swish. A sharp cold light flashed by. The black blade, wrapped in bloody murderous energy, slashed fiercely at the neck of the enchanting beauty with a sharp whistle. However, it was blocked by a layer of golden light curtain 3 inches away from the snow-white neck. Crack. The golden light curtain blocked for a few breaths, and then collapsed into countless light particles on the spot. The enchanting beauty took this opportunity to quickly fly back and distance herself from the other party. What a strange body movement. The fat man looked at the ghost-like figure holding the knife, and the teasing in his eyes disappeared instantly. He turned to look at Yan Qingsong and asked in a cold tone. Old man, you said he is the weakest among the 9 people. This. Yan Qingsong opened his mouth with a dull face, not knowing how to explain. On the other side, the enchanting beauty took out a broken black scale from her arms, and her eyes were immediately red. You actually broke the treasure that Master Turtle gave me? The woman stared at Gu Cheng, her charming face showing a mixture of shock and anger. Although the defense of this old scale that fell off Master Turtle was greatly reduced, it was not something that anyone could break. This kid was able to chop it to pieces with one knife, and his strength was definitely not something she could handle alone. It's a tricky trick, let's do it together, the seductive woman said fiercely, and then she tore the scale on her face with force out of human skin. The curvy and hot body suddenly expanded and became a giant water snake about 10 feet long and green all over. The slender snake tongue was moving in and out, and the huge snake mouth seemed to be able to easily swallow a big yellow cow. The muscular man and the fat man looked at each other, and followed suit, showing their original form. A giant river crab as big as a house, showing off its power. The dark blue shell was shining with a metallic luster, and a pair of huge crab claws could break gold and jade, like a natural killing machine. A giant bullfrog that was 2 stories high and fat, a low roar like a war drum came from its bulging belly, and the abscess on its back flashed a creepy blue light, which was obviously poisonous. Steamed snake soup, spicy crab, dry pot bullfrog, I'm a little hungry after seeing them. Gu Cheng grinned, tightened his grip on Mou, and suddenly turned into a shadow and disappeared on the spot. Be careful. This kid is too fast. The 3 water monsters immediately felt like they were facing a great enemy, and hurriedly gathered together. With the home advantage of Shuyans, they worked together to cast magic together. Walala, the originally calm water in this marshland suddenly became as turbulent as the sea, raising huge waves as high as 5 stories. The splashing waves turned into water arrows all over the sky, carrying out a large-scale carpet attack on the surrounding areas. Under the joint efforts of the 3 monsters, Yan Qingsong, who was watching the battle, was almost beaten into a sieve by the water arrows all over the sky. He quickly flew back and fled to a giant tree 100 meters away, where he was safe. Humph, that kid is really tired of living. Yan Qingsong looked at the battlefield in the distance with turbulent waves and rain like arrows, and couldn't help but snorted coldly. That kid's qigong is so good. He turned around and ran without saying a word, and no one could catch up with him. As a result, he had to choose to be the enemy of the 3 demons who broke through the mortal realm in this water monster's home court. Isn't this Chun Chun thinking that his life is too long? However, the next second, the old man was slapped in the face by reality. Buzz. With a strong wave of divine thought spreading, on the battlefield, the waves and rain of arrows controlled by the magic seemed to be taken over by a higher level power, and instantly broke away from the control of the 3 water monsters and returned to calm. No matter how they activated the magic, there was not a drop of water in the Shuyans to obey their orders. The 3 monsters, the snake, the frog, and the crab, were stunned and looked forward together. The young man in black shirt came over with a knife in one hand. The waves under his feet were lively and cheerful, as if welcoming the former king of this marshland to return again. Chapter 90. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In a vast and peaceful water, Gu Cheng stood quietly on the waves, feeling the cheerful mood in the surrounding water, and his mood became happy. This feeling was very wonderful, as if he had lived here for hundreds of years. Every drop of water here can be controlled by him, ever since he learned the water control magical power by refining the demon core of the green water demon ape. Gu Cheng has an extraordinary affinity for the water, but because he has never practiced specific water spells, Gu Cheng has the talent of the water monkey, but has not been able to fully stimulate the power of this water control magical power. However, perhaps it is because this Shuyans happened to be the territory of the green water demon ape before. When Gu Cheng was attacked by the 3 water monsters, they joined forces with water magic. The remaining demon core power in his body was stimulated, and the potential of this water control magical power was fully stimulated. Not only did he master many techniques of controlling water flow without a teacher, he also had extraordinary control over the vast expanse of the 1,000 miles marshland in front of him, which was no less than that of the green water demon ape in his lifetime. After seeing this familiar and powerful water control method with his own eyes, the 3 former subordinates of the green water demon ape were struck by lightning and fell into deep shock. Master Ape, are you not dead? That the snake demon stared at the handsome figure in black and asked in doubt. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. That the big crab on the side waved its 2 big claws and retorted loudly. I saw with my own eyes the corpse of Master Ape that was chopped into charcoal. Its demon core was dug out by the female Hades. How could it still be alive? The reason why he knows Master Ape's magic is that he swallowed its demon core and completely refined it. Hearing this, the bodies of the snake demon and the frog demon trembled violently, and their eyes became more and more terrified. What a joke. It has only been less than a month, this kid in the chi and blood realm has completely refined and analyzed the demon core of a great demon in the innate realm. How can this guy be more demonic than a demon? The spirits of the 3 water demons were a little broken. Originally, the 3 of them followed here just to see the remains of the old man Yen and his kind, to satisfy their evil taste as demons. Unexpectedly, I would run into such a freak who cannot be understood by common sense. Oh. So, you 3 are the ones who escaped the thunder disaster more than half a month ago. Gu Cheng's eyes moved slightly, and he put Mu back into the scabbard. If that's the case, I will naturally give you a ritualistic death. After that, he slowly raised his right hand, and the power of wind and thunder surged in his palm. Crimson Palace Heavenly Thunder Induction. Rumble, accompanied by the rolling thunder, the air suddenly became sticky. The azure electric snakes continued to emerge in the air, exuding a terrifying breath of destruction. Gu Cheng's divine thought spread, and instantly locked the 3 monsters of snake, frog, and crab. Is this thunder magic? Damn it. This guy is in cahoots with the female Hades. The 3 water monsters looked at the blue lightning in the sky, which was full of déjà vu, and were immediately frightened. The familiar aura of destruction made them, who had escaped death before, instantly recall the terrifying scene of Thunder Hell. Thinking of this, the 3 water monsters no longer had the slightest intention to continue fighting. They were about to dive into the water and flee everywhere, however, in Gu Cheng's home court. How could they easily escape? Splash! A dozen thick water whips rose instantly in the turbulent waves. Under the control of Gu Cheng's mind, the 3 demons who tried to escape were tightly entangled and pressed in place. After many temperings in the demon core illusion, the strength of his mind has long been comparable to that of an innate master. With Shui Yunza's home advantage, the power of the innate water control ability was perfectly exerted. The 3-headed water monster had a huge body and terrifying physical strength. Under the strong fear of death, it burst out with a brutal force far beyond the usual, but even so, it still couldn't escape the control of the long whip, no matter how they struggled. It was useless. Die! In the desperate eyes of the 3 demons, Gu Cheng's right hand swung down vigorously. The lightning snake surging in the air suddenly became brighter, turning into a series of azure thunder, fiercely striking the 3 water monsters. Boom boom boom. Thunder exploded. Lightning surged. In just a few breaths, more than 10 thunders fell. The 3 demons were blasted into 3 charred bodies, deader than dead. Curls of green smoke rose from the 3 charred bodies. Under the high temperature of Gu Cheng's thunder method, the bodies of the 3 water monsters even emitted a barbecue aroma, which made people salivate. Alas, it's a pity that the heat is a bit difficult to control. Such good ingredients are wasted. Gu Cheng shook his head, controlled the water to tear open the bodies of the monsters, dug out 3 monster cores, and put them into the storage bag. Then he calmed down and turned to look at the old man in black hiding in the tree 100 meters away. Yan Qingsong was struck by lightning. He staggered and fell from the tree in fear, falling into the water, splashing a large piece of water. Seeing that the old man dared not float up after falling into the water, he tried to dive and escape. Gu Cheng couldn't help but sneer at the corner of his mouth and stretched out his hand to grab forward. Splash! A big hand made of flowing water suddenly rose from the water. The old man who tried to escape was tightly grasped in his palm, and he was brought to Gu Cheng. "Spare my life! Spare my life!" Yan Qingsong looked at the black-shirted young man in front of him, his wrinkled old face as pale as paper. Until now, he really couldn't figure it out. Why did this young man, who was stronger than many generals, come to participate in the newcomer assessment of the headquarters? A level 80 big guy forced to come to a level 40 dungeon to show off. This is not how you play the pig to eat the tiger, right? Little brother. These were all forced upon me by the demons. I had no choice. Old Master Yan was so frightened that he burst into tears and was close to mental collapse. He used up his last bit of strength and begged loudly. "Little brother. I already know I was wrong. Please spare my life and escort me back to Tianshui City so that I can have a chance to redeem myself and make meritorious contributions." "No, you know you were wrong." Gu Cheng calmly pulled out the black feather from his waist, his eyes cold. "You just know you're going to die. Little brother. Don't." Puff, the dazzling blade flashed by, along with the gushing blood, a white-haired head rolled down, his eyes full of fear and despair. Gu Cheng sheathed the knife and put the traitor's head into the storage bag. Now was not the time to count the results of the battle. He looked up in the direction where the demon's evil spirit was erupting, and used all his strength to perform the flowing clouds and riding the wind art, while controlling the flowing water under his feet, and rushed towards the next battlefield.